Welcome to the Rupee Table. I am your DM, Julianne. And at the table, we've got...
John, playing Yarrow Samuelson.
Amanda, playing Thurgy Demusk.
Steve, as Frederick Nulltide.
Chrissy, playing Benevolence Godsborn. Beryl, playing Weda Hakan Erlingstala and Wadwiguez.
Graham, playing Phasmith the Mothkin.
Now let's get started. When we last left our heroes, you had just defeated a slimy, horde-gobbling, shadow-bound creature and rescued the cricks that were unable to escape it. From within the pile of mundane trinkets and construction material at the center of the cavernous nest, you were gifted a journal by one of the cricks. Inside that journal, you found an ornately decorated map. Deciding to keep it to yourselves, you returned to the library and collected your reward for clearing out the nest from Veril, a pretty penny of gold, and access to the inner library once it opens back up. After a brief interruption by one of the adjuncts, Nakna, you were collected by the King's Guard since, after all, the king wanted to speak with the group of exterminators that he had hired for the library. In the carriage, you all finally had a moment to talk, get to know each other, sit in awkward silence, and, begin to piece together the situation you had all gotten yourselves into. Inside the palace, King Thassalark wished to thank the hired party for their diligence, and asked you all to consider additional work with the crown related to further Crick Nest investigation. You were provided lodgings and such on the castle grounds, and were asked to return for dinner to discuss the work in some more detail. However, for the time being, you all decided it would be best to discuss your options elsewhere, especially since the king was a bit vague in his request. Phasmith attempted to take a picture of the castle's soaring towers, but was thwarted by his new companions when they realized that the king himself would be in said photo. And then after asking the guards some questions and inadvertently raising more suspicion than intended, you were brought to the Oaken Case, one of the nicer taverns in town. At the tavern, Yarrow and Phasmith secured rooms for the evening, Yarrow naturally offering to play some music in exchange, Phasmith offering to pay some money in exchange. Yarrow set himself up on the tavern's central stage, and Phasmith, Weda, and Thurgy discussed the knowns and unknowns of this interesting device that Phasmith has been traveling with, and whether it's actually something dangerous or not. Ben and Frederick, on the other hand, moseyed back to the library, set on gathering more information on the creature they had just fought. But, as they arrived, they spotted an oddly familiar group deep in conversation with poor Callan. Managed to, of course, accidentally draw their attention with some, shenanigans, we'll call it. And that is where we are going to start. Just right after Caroline has come over and introduced herself to the two of you. This beautiful, average 40-year-old woman who is clearly sitting on the charm for Frederick, being an average looking 40-year-old male himself. She turns away and walks back to Callan after having told you that she just needs to wrap up this conversation, and then things should be back to normal. Things should be getting going once again. One of the other figures from the group approaches you. It's the big, tall, kind of white, fluffy one that, as he approaches, you see that he looks like an owlbear. Standing tall on his two legs, very tall with these white and gently speckled feathers. And he has a very serious look on his face as he approaches, though his approach is not particularly intimidating. But as he comes within a more reasonable distance of the two of you, he says, "I apologize for my friends. They can be a little quick to draw sometimes. Enjoy the rest of your day." And he turns, walks back to the group. And in this amount of time, clearly the conversation between Callan and Caroline has wrapped up, and the rest of them seem to have kind of migrated away from the door, away from y'all, and seem to be discussing whatever their next move is. And the two of you are still standing kind of between the door, between the door and the clothing shop. And Callan looks over at the two of you, specifically at Frederick, eyebrows arched, raises his shoulders, hands up in a very, the fuck was that?
Beats the shit out of me, old friend. Benedict, I don't know how we made it through this, but okay.
Not my name. We should go.
Yeah, what are the odds that the library is just open now for us?
Probably not good. We should go.
Kelly just sighs heavily and his like eyes on the bridge of his nose, and he's like, "You have been here long enough, my dude. I go to the freaking tower. You can call Knockna, and he'll get you your books. If you want anything from in the library, and that's what he can do for you right now, okay?"
Maybe we could do that. I don't have a specific book in mind, but...
You don't have to have a specific
It's all right.
book. That kid is really good at finding
Whatever
you need.
Well, don't worry. Callan? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Have a great, blessed day.
You too,
All right.
Freddy.
We're that close I have a nickname. I'm such a regular here.
Then you can see just like the rage seething on his face. I'm just like, I'm so done with today. I just wanted to go home, but I'm still here. Ah!
Ben, I think, reaches out, catches hold of Frederick by the wrist, and just gently pulls him in the direction they need to go. We need to go.
As we're walking along, that kid does great work.
I'm sure he does. Come on.
So we're heading over to the tower?
Yes, so as a reminder, because I think we went over this and I don't remember, so if not, here we go. The way that the library functions is that, of course, there is the main inner library, and that is where all of the books live, all of the information lives. It's where you went in to speak with Keeper Verrill, as they gave you the task to go deal with the crick nest and everything. And most people typically are not allowed without like special permissions to go in. Obviously now, having taken care of this crick problem and done a favor to the library, you all do have access to that part of the library once it opens. The way that it has worked until then, there are a few of these towers that are on the north part of the campus that are like study rooms. And so what you guys would do is, like, Frederick, you and Wada would go to one of these rooms. They have like silence spells cast on them so that it's a nice, like, quiet environment, no one else is bothering you, and one of the adjuncts will come along and fetch any of the books that you guys need. So this is kind of the way that it's been operating up until this point. And apologies for not explaining that better last time. So yeah, if you still want to find more information about that creature, that is what I would recommend doing. I think you also mentioned wanting to take a look at some of your own notes. If there was like a possibility that you had anything on that creature, so just let me know. Or like, what would you prefer to do? How do you guys want to proceed?
Right, in my flat, we call it my flat.
Your flat.
My flat. While I'm here, pied à terre in Baccarat. I'm assuming I have some sort of literature I could look through on animals and zoology, etc. But Ben, I think you are also interested in procuring some information from the library, so I think it might be in our best interest to start looking in the tower, talking to Knockna.
If that's how we get to the books, then yes.
Okay. I think that's our best course of action.
Okay, wonderful.
I don't know if this is Steve or Frederick speaking. We're all just becoming one person. Help.
You know, they say that your characters are a little bit of yourself, but I think we're leaning a little too hard into that. Okay, cool. So the two of you head over to the towers, and like I said, Frederick, this is a process that you are very familiar with at this point. So someone greets you at the doors, they are able to tell you that there's a room available, they bring you up to the room, and it's these, after being brought up a couple of flights of stairs, it's just these quaint, nice, quiet study rooms. Like anything that you could need to be comfortable. There's a nice chair at a desk. There's a lounge seat or something. There's a couple of bookshelves, so if you have like a whole lot of stuff, you can just put everything up there. There are windows to look out into the courtyard, or if you're like on the back of the towers, to look back out into the city and everything. And as you are brought into the room, the person who brought you up tells you that your adjunct will be with you in a moment. And they shut the door behind them, and the two of you wait for a moment.
I think Ben finally lets go of Frederick's wrist.
Okay.
Now convinced that he's not going to run off and cause trouble.
Iron grip. My God.
Puts a hand back against the door to make sure, because it's a door that opens in, I assume.
Yes.
To make sure it doesn't open in on them.
Yeah.
And leans in and very quietly, do you realize who those people were?
Callum? Yeah, he works here.
Not him. The other ones.
Oh, Caroline. Oh. Yes, I assume she's doing some great work here as well.
Not what I meant.
What do you mean?
I think that's who the king summoned to take care of the problem.
Great, they don't have any work to do. That's fantastic.
We're fucked.
Processing. Beautiful mind equations for a second.
Doesn't that concern you even a little bit?
Benjamin, you need to understand
That's my
that.
name.
Ben! You just need to understand, this is how we do in academia. You see opportunities, you grasp those opportunities, else you get left behind. We took on a job that we weren't really necessarily qualified for, but we did it.
We were paid for something that we were not qualified to do. That payment was supposed to go to somebody else.
But we did it. Right?
If we get caught, we're fucked.
Whose fault is it for assigning us that task?
We should have said something.
It's Callum's. He could take the fall for us. He's a good
I
kid.
don't think that's his name.
I'm pretty sure it's his name. I heard him say it at least sometime.
Uh-huh.
I think we're okay. Don't worry. We're not going to get in trouble.
Somehow I don't believe that.
Caroline's such a sweetheart. We could talk. It's just, it's a thing between us generic people. We're very good at just connecting. I felt a connection. I don't know if you saw the connection. It was kind of like a connection, right? You saw that?
Ew.
Did you not see that?
There's a knock at the door. You feel the vibration against your hands.
Springs away from the door and is on the other side of the room.
Just like head buried at the desk as if I'm reading, but there's no real book. Maybe there's like a magazine, like a pamphlet.
Like, these two are probably the worst pair to follow the, oh god, quick act naturally.
Oh,
Piece of
100%,
advice.
and I fucking love it. You hear that familiar voice from the other side of the door. Professor, may I come in?
Oh, yes, of course.
The door creaks open, and you see that the young drow boy, Nakna, that you had seen before, and that you have seen many a time during your stay here, as he has fetched many, many books for you and Wada. And he looks attentively holding a clipboard, essentially, in his hand. Or holding, rather, not a clipboard. Holding like an open kind of notebook in his hand with a quill ready. Is there a book that you are interested in procuring today, sir?
Yes. So before we go on to this, can I
Sure.
just get a quick reminder about what the creature looked like?
Yes, okay. This was a disgusting creature.
Gobbledygook.
Yeah, that was the perfect description. Large, rotund, very, like, fleshy looking. 4, like, large, stocky legs. A big maw with lots of sharp teeth. No eyes. At least not directly where you would expect the eyes to be. And 2 tentacles that rose up from its head, and that's where the eyeballs were.
Ooh. Yes. I would like to request specifically Dungeon Dwellers, Dribblers, and Dives, Volume 3.
And you see, he nods, scribbles that down. Is there anything else I can grab for you while I'm in that area? Looking back and forth to the both of you.
If you could, anything on stars or constellations.
And he thinks for a second, kind of like eyes look like up into the sky as he's trying to like piece together where these books could be. It's like, well, we have several about the sky, about individual celestial bodies. Is there something specific that you are looking for?
I'm not really sure.
Well, think about it while I grab this other book, and then I will grab that one for you.
Sure.
That's Professor.
Thank you so much.
Turns, and the door clicks behind as he leaves.
Stars? What kind of, things are you looking for in the stars?
You know, normal things. I just. I study the stars.
Really?
Yes?
Normal things in the stars. The stars are very much not normal. They're screaming balls of gas and flame up in the skies, hung like celestial lights.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
You're not normal.
They're not mutually exclusive, I understand.
I just, you know, I've gotten through all the material I had on the subject and was hoping to find something new.
I see. So the library would be exactly the kind of place to find old, dusty books on stars that probably have burned out upon the millennia and millennia ago?
That would be the idea, yes.
Interesting. I'm a zoologist, but I'm a scientist, and that kind of makes me an expert in everything. So
I don't think that's how that works.
I might have some recommendations on star books if I could think.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
When I got to the end of the material I did have,
Yeah.
was there anything in particular, subject-wise, that I felt like I was missing that I could go in search of?
The book that you have, and just correct me if I'm remembering incorrectly, was specifically about constellations.
Yes.
So this was like the name of the constellation, the story about the constellation, any major celestial bodies that made up the constellation. But that was really it. It was kind of a bare bones like encyclopedia of constellations. And it was like a good number of them. But it's the kind of thing, looking up into the sky and seeing all of the stars, it's like, how is that only the ones that are recorded? So many stars in the sky and so few, although it's really not that few. It was a pretty big book. Does that answer your question? Does that
I think so.
Okay. So a few moments later, there's another knock at the door. And it's knock knock. Ha ha ha.
I get it!
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I don't know if I can recover from that one.
You're welcome. And he opens up the door, and he's actually got a pile of books in his arms. And he looks over to you, Frederick, and walks the pile of books. It's a little bit taller than his head. And he's like, if you could take the one off the top, that is the first one that you requested.
Thank you, my boy.
I also brought the second volume of it as well. I think it's a slightly newer edition, so there might be some additions made to it that could be helpful for your search.
Thank you so much.
And then this was another strange one that I found. It was kind of hiding in the back somewhere and was a little dusty, so it might be a little old and out of date, but I can't really read the name of it off the top, so if you could take that one. And it's a smaller, like, skinnier book than the rest that is definitely, like, dusty, and, like, the edges of the pages are super yellow, and kind of, like, slides that one off to you as well. And then he turns to you, Ben, and has two books. One of which, he puts them both on the table and takes the first one off the top, that it's this big, chunky book, hands it to you and turns it, and he's like, this author was known, I believe, for his dedication to the constellations and documenting every single one of them. And as you take a look at the cover, it looks a little bit different, but he opens up the pages and you see that it is the same content. But this book also looks old as shit. It's a little bit more beat up around the corners, same thing, like the edges of the pages are a little bit more yellow. Clearly, like, well-read, well-loved, wherever it had existed before it was in the library, or if it has been in the library this entire time.
But basically just like an older edition
Basically,
of what I've already read.
Mm-hmm. And then the second one is a smaller book. This book, yeah, it's a much smaller book. Just a tiny little hardcover about Tielu and Tomu. And Nakna explains there's a little bit kind of about the darkening and just kind of the way that the moons work in tandem with each other or something like that, just the way they exist in the sky, as much as we've been able to learn about them. Thought that might be interesting to you.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other books I can grab for you at the moment, or would you like me to leave you to study these?
You could leave us for now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So this slimmer volume of book that you gave me graciously the second edition
Yeah.
of the second volume. Thank God, I've been looking for this.
Yep.
Of Dungeon Dwellers, Dribblers, and Dives. I remembered that.
I'm very proud. I was gonna say I couldn't remember it to save my life, so thank you for that.
So can I read this new book that Knocknut had brought?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, can I actively?
Yeah.
Sorry, am I able to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in common, set up the same way as, what's it called again?
Dungeon Dwellers, Dribblers, and Dives.
Dungeon Dwellers, Dribblers, and Dives, Volume 1. It's the same setup, where it's actually kind of like the Constellation book, or, like the Monster Manual, where it's like illustrations of creatures, descriptions, and just written text about them. Some have a lot of information, some really don't have a lot of information. I take it by your knowing this book, you are rather familiar with the first volume.
Am I? Sorry.
So you're actually rather grateful after kind of flipping through the books that Knocknut brought the second edition of the second volume, because as you were flipping through, you do find something that resembles this creature, or at least the sketch of it is pretty on point to what you can remember.
Fascinating.
Not that it was all that long ago when you were fighting this thing.
Was it like earlier today?
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say, but because of like the length between sessions, I'm like, this was 2 days ago. No, this was like 5 or 6 hours ago tops. So
I'm still shaking my boots over it.
a little bit. Yeah, you see it and you can just like the memory of the smell of it and kind of the sounds of kind of the cavern creaking around you and just like that cool crisp air of those pockets of darkness just kind of like whoosh, sends a little shiver down your spine. But yeah, there's an entry about this creature. And what it tells you is that this is a cavernous dwelling creature that's normally not found in the city. It tends to live more so in the mountains. Sometimes it can be found higher elevations. Sometimes it's just in the foothills, but 9 times out of 10 you are not finding this thing unless you are like burrowing underground to find it. They're scavengers. They just like to eat stuff.
What's it called?
Okay, so the name of this creature is an otiug.
I'm sorry?
Otiug.
Otiug.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
And
is Elvish for gobblegook.
basically, creatures that are underground mostly are in the regions where they are most likely to be found. They're also considered as like garbage disposals. But one of the other things, kind of a small note that really doesn't elaborate on it whatsoever, but makes kind of a weird mention about these monsters being drawn to the aftermath of war. And that's it. That's all it fucking says. But yeah, is that helpful? Is there more information that you're looking for?
Sorry,
about
first
this
the
thing?
player Steve needs to process this like dumbfoundedness into the cocksureness of Frederick.
Fair enough.
I have to translate it from what the fuck to yes, I know everything.
From what the fuck to, of course the fuck.
That's perfect.
Ben, it says here this is an Otiug that we fought this morning, but they're not really aggressive city-dwelling type creatures.
Ben has their nose completely in the smaller of the books that Knockna brought them. It's like,
Great! It's just like I'm giving lecture again.
That's nice.
So much attention.
Uh-huh.
This is more feedback than I ever get.
Sorry, what?
The Otiug.
Ew.
The Otiug, the thing we fought this morning. It's right here. You see, it has its name, its details, its stat block. It's a stat block. Can we see its stat block?
Cannot see the stat block.
points for the staff. Points for trying.
The stat block is in the next edition. Sorry about that. Which hasn't been published yet, so you know.
We need volume 4.
Exactly.
But they're not really city-dwelling monsters. Not that I really thought we would see such a creature in the city, but they're also not really aggressive-sounding creatures. They're more like vultures. They're like scavenging. But this passage here says something very I'm not the one to get ominous. I fly by the seat of my pants. You know me by now. We've been together for a while.
It's been a few hours.
It's been a while.
Ben
It
just
feels
slowly lowers her book.
It feels like it's been forever. But it says here that they're drawn to the... Maybe I'm misreading this. Can you take a look? It says that it's drawn to the aftermath of war?
Yeah, that's what that says.
That's...
There hasn't been any war here that I remember. I feel like I would have heard about that.
Should we be rolling history on this?
But yeah, sure. Go ahead. Roll history for me.
First dice roll of the session.
I still have disadvantage.
What is my history score?
Motherfucker. I have regrets.
We're getting a +3 to history because I'm smart.
Nice.
SMRT.
Did you roll?
I
another
doubled
one?
my score by adding that +3.
Okay. All right.
I got a 6.
Beautiful. Ben, 11. Okay. All right. So with those scores combined,
Rub our 2 brain cells together.
Collective 2 brain cells.
right off the top of y'all's heads, you cannot think of any war that has happened in the last several couple, you're not sure, generations, in the last couple centuries. Ben, from being around here, you know that things have been pretty darn peaceful. The last, biggest conflict that comes to mind at the moment is whatever the fuck happened to the dragons, and nobody knows what the fuck happened to the dragons. But, something has to have happened, right?
And I think Ben leans over the book more closely. He was like, it says after war, not before war, right?
Yeah, no. We're not heading into a war, I assure you. I hope. I don't think we're...
Those are 2 very different thoughts.
But, this is interesting. My interest is piqued.
I don't like it.
I mean, it does cross y'all's mind that, it's possible that there was a war somewhere else that, never gained any traction, so nobody else ever heard of it, blah, blah, blah. But, there's always that possibility. People are always fighting over things, but, not everybody always hears about it.
They said this was an older edition anyway, right?
Sure.
Maybe it's something that got corrected in the newer one.
Let's just hope that it got... they're supposed to be in the mountains, and the sewers are...
Maybe that was
eventually
supposed
connected.
to be on a different entry.
Yeah, maybe it just got disconnected from its mountain, and it made it over
could
here.
be on the wrong page.
It's fine.
And Ben just picks up the book about the moons again. I'm not dealing with this. Not today.
You'd rather deal with the cursed moon thing?
Yes.
All right.
Alright, so the Moon Book. The book about Tielu and Tonlu, which are the 2 moons that are up in the sky. Tielu is the small moon that, for the players at the table, is more equatable to our moon. Does its thing every night, rises and sets, slightly different shape, depending on where it is, and the sun and everything like that. Tonlu is the cause of the darkening, or rather is the cause of the eclipse that causes the darkening. This is a much larger celestial body that lives in the sky for extended periods at a time. The darkening itself, as you may remember, lasts for 7 days, which means that even before the darkening has arrived and after the darkening has passed, that Tonlu stays looming in the sky. Quite a while before it sets over the horizon, and even longer before it comes back for the next darkening. So in this book are folk stories about Tielu and Tonlu that read kind of as myths. And it's a collection of stories from places kind of all over the world. So they vary in content and in kind of length of story and in tone of story and everything like that. I will get you more of the stories specifically later, but that's kind of the gist that you get from it. as you are not listening to Frederick explain his findings. Is there anything else that the two of you would like to do while you are at the library?
I think that's it for me, at least.
Okay. So we're going to assume that takes maybe like a couple hours in order to, yeah. After which, will you be heading back to the Oaken Case?
I think so. What time is it about?
Mid-afternoon?
How long is this fucking day? Oh my god.
It is in fact Tuesday.
Yeah. I would say mid to late afternoon. So I think by the time that you guys would get back to the Oaken Case, it would be getting close enough to dinner time. And I think that you kind of figured that out. Or you pieced together. It was like, okay, we need to get back because we're going to dinner. This is how long it'll take to get there, and so on and so forth. So, okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Go back to the Oaken Case.
Wonderful.
Go collect our ragtag team.
So, while this is going on, is there anything else in particular that you lovely lot are up to while these guys are doing their research? Obviously, Yarrow is still playing away, having a wonderful time, and I think you had a pretty good roll last time, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you're doing really, really well. As the afternoon kind of pulls along, more and more people start coming in, and definitely seem to be drawn in because of your music, which, of course, the barkeep and the staff all seem very pleased about. What are the rest of you up to? Or if you're not up to anything, we can skip to the party kind of reuniting and move on from there. Because you guys also did have a chance to talk about the camera and all that. But I didn't want to skip over anything in case you guys thought of something else too.
I think Thurgy's just spent an inordinate amount of time hogging the public bathroom in the bar part of the inn, desperately trying to fix her hair and makeup and everything after this last battle.
Okay. Lovely.
I just want to do mending to repair Rodriguez.
Okay.
Because he got...
Okay, cool. Also, I would like to say, in this amount of time, if y'all would feel so inclined, you may take a short rest, or may take this time as a short rest. If anyone would like to, I forget who's able to recover spell slots or recover any HP, or, not do that. Yarrow.
Got the music in me. I'm earning my keep.
Alright.
Phasmith is definitely doing that. He's chilling out
Okay.
in his, somewhere. I don't know.
At that point, I'm just gonna... I think it's conceivable. I'm just gonna cast mending again. Sorry, he was down I got all but one hit point back.
Oh no.
I won that one fucking hit point.
Yeah.
Okay, he's good. Rodriguez is okay.
Okay, wonderful. Can I get an HP sound off real quick?
10.
26.
I think I'm at full, which is 29.
I'm also at full 27.
24, Rodriguez is 21.
20?
Okay, cool. Excellent. Alright. As the sun is starting to set over this lovely city of Baccaran, Frederick and Ben, you make your way back to the tavern. Still seeing Yarrow, center stage, playing away, maybe starting to look a little tired, still looking a little worse for wear. You spot where Thurgy, Wada, and Faz are hanging out. Thurgy looking much more presentable and cleaned up. Same for Wada and Faz, or are you guys still looking like you fought a slime monster 6 hours ago?
I think Wada's probably still looking like he fought a slime monster. I think he's probably more concerned about cleaning Rodriguez.
Oh, fair.
So
Rodriguez
he's
is
still covered,
shining,
but Rodriguez is gleaming.
sparkling. Is like Rodriguez may as well be smiling at this point.
Yep.
But you see, you spot them at the table, and you see that the tavern is much busier than it was before. So if you would like a moment to catch up as you arrive.
Oh, wait on. Come in.
Hey,
Frederick.
Professor, you're back!
Frederick immediately is like, we're going to a very important dinner, just kind of like brushing schmutz
A
off his
dinner?
shoulders.
A dinner with who?
The king?
Oh, right.
How could you forget something like that?
Well, I don't know. Aren't you supposed to bring something for dinner? And you threw my muffin out the window.
Look, I can only apologize so many times for doing that.
It's okay. I can get more tomorrow.
Okay, more important though is Frederick and I may have encountered
Nothing. We encountered nothing. Everything is fine.
You're lying through your teeth and very poorly. We may have encountered the group the king actually summoned to take care of everything. They look alarmingly adjacent to us. Not quite this similar, but I don't know. It's weird. But we're fucked.
What our friend Benjamin here is trying to say
Still
is...
not my name.
I'm just gonna be a little perked up like, What do you mean similar?
Adjacent is the best word I have. It wasn't... They don't look like us, but like you look at the group and you're like, I can see why they confused us.
I don't see it. But anyway, what Ben is trying to say is that there may have been another group that was hired originally to take care of this, go-air problem. But sure enough, we came in there, we solved the problem, and we took the reward. That's pretty box standard to me for how this kind of works.
They're gonna figure out that we're the wrong people.
And then what?
We're gonna get in trouble somehow. Don't kings... I mean, he's pretty damn benevolent, but
What
I don't know.
Wait, Ben, we didn't impersonate them. We just said we were exterminators.
And we're not!
But they could, technically, we did exterminate the problem. So even if we weren't exterminators before, we're exterminators now.
Yeah, but what if there were contracts and things drawn up that, we weren't privy to, that, things were signed, and, they're gonna be mad that they didn't get their payment because we got their payment?
Are you more worried about them or the king finding out?
I'm not sure. They had swords. They...
We have a robotic shark.
No offense, but that doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
Wait, I'll do the thing with the flamethrower part.
Thank you, we're inside.
I think maybe we get something very nice to bring to dinner. Maybe something better than a day-old muffin. And we tell them it was an honest mistake. Because we did want to help. And we did help. And, maybe we could... I don't know, maybe we could share some of the money with the actual exterminators.
Am I the only one that's concerned about this?
Okay,
Okay, great.
I'm a little...
I don't know. Worst case scenario, we give the money back.
I guess.
It's not like we murdered anybody or set anything on fire. We exterminated the big climb thing.
Right.
Or he could be a really terrible king and execute us all for slander and malfeasance.
I don't think you're helping here, Frederick.
Can Phasmith ask for like a description of the group from you guys to kind of get up to speed on what they look like or something as like a offhand thing?
There was like the woman version of Frederick.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think
You were too
I've
busy
seen
Googling her. Just
Did she-
mundane.
Ugh, gross.
Did she also have a mustache?
No.
Oh.
But like, there was someone big and strong like Yarrow. There was someone a little odd looking, no offense, Fastman. Just out of the ordinary.
Unique.
Nice hat.
Extraordinary.
Very nice hat.
Nice hat.
Interesting.
Like, at a glance, you're like, yeah, sure, that could be the same group. But if you look closely, you're like, oh, they're definitely not the same people.
How fluffy was he compared to me?
I don't know. I was kind of panicking in the moment,
Kind of a
thinking
big-
they were gonna kill us.
Kind of a mix of feathery and
Why
fluffy.
would
It's-
they kill us?
I don't know. They got anxious when Frederick and I were there, and they drew steel.
We were also kind of running suspiciously. We panicked. It wasn't the best
Would
moment.
any of those descriptions stick out to Phasmith at all? No. Oh, okay.
Not based on the way that Ben described them.
I don't know. Doesn't sound like too much of a problem to me.
I
The
mean,
king,
Ben-
however,
Would it make you feel better if we gave the money back?
Only if they don't kill us.
Ben, do you have a lot of people that are trying to kill you all the time?
No.
You seem really worried about people trying to kill you a lot.
And not killing, mostly finding.
Okay.
Ben, you have my
I'm gonna go use the restroom. And Ben goes.
You see, wait, that is assuredly the reaction of someone who never has somebody coming after to kill them.
Oh, yes, very normal.
Welcome to academia.
As they are having this conversation, Yarrow, the barkeep comes over and gives you a tap on the shoulder, thanks you very much for the incredible music and for drawing so many people in, and does let you know that there is someone else on their way at the moment, so if you would like to take some time to...
Okay, so I pretty much
so you can join this conversation if you'd like.
fling my Bailalaka over my shoulder, see my friends have returned, except Ben has just run off. And I'm kind of, a little out of breath. You can tell I'm definitely in need of a nap here. Oh, you're back from your reading thing.
Oh, that was your music. It was quite lovely.
Yeah, I know, I'm badass. You missed the whole concert, but that's cool. I can play for you later.
It's fine. We always show up late. That's what the cool kids do.
Maybe some of my old folk music written by the dragons.
Really?
Teach you something.
Dragons are dead.
So, what's the word? When are we going to go meet King Thirsty Boy?
Thassalark. King Thassalark. I cannot believe the amount of disrespect this entire group has for the concept of royalty. One of us forgets we're even supposed to meet them for dinner and is unprepared. One of you can't remember their name. This is unacceptable.
As you say that, all of a sudden, all of you just happen to now spot the person who is standing just kind of right over Thurgy's shoulder, like in full regalia, full like pauldrons and everything. You all immediately recognizing it as one of the guards that you had chatted with while you were on the castle grounds. Just again, standing right behind Thurgy. Are you all ready to go?
Hi, sir. Yes, I think we're mostly ready to go, right, guys? Everyone ready to go?
Let me just comb my mustache real quick and the sideburns. Oh, I need my sideburn comb. Where's my sideburn comb? Wait off. Open up Rodriguez. I think it's in there. He probably ate it again.
Oh, yes, hang on. And while he's doing this, I guess we could stop for a croissant on the way. Well, I think one of we guys kind of, shakes a little, shimmies a little bit like a dog shaking water off. And kind of like just a thing, and a comb just shoots out and hits Wade on the chest. And goes, oh yeah, he ate it again.
Oh, thank you so much. Just open out a little bit. Okay.
Alright, Yarrow, not wanting to drag this out any longer, starts walking towards the carriage. As he goes past the guard, he kind of claps him on the shoulder and he's like, thanks for coming. I'm gonna go to the carriage. The rest of you guys will catch up.
Let's go!
I think Thurgy runs to go grab Ben from the restroom, regardless of whatever protestations may be made.
There's a few. None of them coherent.
And Thurgy does not care.
Alright, so after some struggling to remove one of your party members from the bathroom, and after finally making beards and mustaches and mutton chops presentable, the lot of you find your way out of the tavern and into one of the same carriages that you had found yourselves in earlier in the day. While step in, it's nice and roomy, nice and cozy. You see that there's, of course, the guard who came to get you, the person driving the carriage, and another guard also posted on the back of the carriage itself. And you take off to the streets, headed up towards the castle, like you do. La 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 la.
Hey, is there another one of those combs in there? I'm feeling. I need to be fluffy.
I think the sideburn comb might actually really get the fluff around the.
Thank you.
This thing.
Adequate.
Thank you.
He's just covered with a white hairball.
I'm tempted to put this not necessarily back in my cosmetics bag, but maybe my sample bag for zoology
You don't
research.
want Rodriguez to just eat it again.
You hear his jaw unhinging, like,
He just
ready to
cleans it
catch
off.
the comb in his
Oh
mouth.
gosh.
Well trained. Yarrow, can you play A Whole New World for us while we cruise on through the streets?
How
Although
bad
we're
do you
in a
want to
car-
get copyright struck? Even in this realm, Lord Disney will find me.
His reach is eternal.
oh my god. I have a question for Phasmith.
Hey.
At some point, while you all were hanging back at the tavern, did you go back and get the camera?
I think he would actually. I think
Okay.
hearing about the other group is a little off-putting to him, and he's not exactly I don't know if I want to stay in this town any longer. I got what I need, so I might just be heading out of here soon if things get wild.
Cool. Alright. So, as the carriage is traveling along, the wheels bumping gently against the cobblestone roads, as you're watching all of the lights start to flicker on in each of the homes and each of the buildings as you pass them by, and a couple of street lamps as well to help light the streets in this delightfully busy city. But as you round a corner and as you find your way into this more open space, you hear what sounds like kind of the beginnings of a kerfuffle, we'll call it. You hear a distant bleating off in the distance. One followed by another, getting closer and closer, and you hear a scratching noise off in the distance as well. Something sharp against clay tiles, against roof tiles, perhaps. And as you find your way into the center of this courtyard, suddenly there is a large crashing noise directly across from you. And it is the crashing of those same roof tiles. It is the crashing of the bleeding goers, and it is the crashing of a crick on the ground with them. The carriage comes to a halt as the person who is driving it is trying to bring the horses to a sense of calm as they have started to get a little bit uneasy about the situation. Do you take a look outside to see what is going on?
Yeah.
Does anyone not take a look outside?
Ben, maybe?
Ben, come out from under the bench.
Although, good luck looking past Phasma's hat and scarves just plastered up to the window. Crimes.
Waito's not tall enough, but he's like, what can you see?
You take a look out the window and you see a crick. But it is not just a crick. It seems larger than it should be. The way that its wings reach out and spread farther than they really should, and this darkness oozing off of them, evaporating off of it into the air, and just the panicked sounds of the cricks just shouting and bleating and crying underneath the talons of the crick. As you all make eye contact with this creature, it looks up, head snapping towards you.
Uh-oh.
A loud, strangled caw escapes its beak, and it flies directly at the carriage, and I would like for everyone to please roll initiative.